Fitness was the first place I learned discipline. It was like the very first thing that taught me everything.
We did a 70.3 Ironman. It was easily the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. And to see the mindset I had to where I had gotten, it made me really start thinking like, where else am I not allowing myself to believe in the possibility? People that grow up in fitness like yourself, like I get why you're so successful, because that foundation of showing up every day, every decision.
If you just keep showing up, it'll eventually happen, because in fitness, the first like 2 years, you don't really see anything, even though so much is happening underneath.
Yeah.
And that helped me in business. I may not see a result right now, but I know I've just spent a year laying groundwork.
That's the key. All the work's under the surface until like a bamboo tree. Boom. And then it shows up and then everybody goes like, oh, good for you. And you're like, no, you don't know.
Dan, welcome to the Earn Your Happy podcast. I'm so excited that you are here in the flesh.
This is cool. In real life.
Yes, in real life. We're in Nashville, which is kind of random for both of us.
Yeah, don't live here.
Yeah, do not live here. And it worked out. But I was going on your stories, looking at what you were doing in Nashville, and you went to see Jelly Roll last night?
Well, so no, I didn't go see Jelly. I went to see Andrew Schulz.
Okay,
so I'm a big comedy fan.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I get like Shane Gillis is my top, Andrew's top. Guy named Tony Hinchcliffe, his show Kill Tony. Like I watch comedy every night to go to bed.
Why?
I think because like I spend most of my day just being so like business seriously. Like sometimes I like to giggle. Like Renee, if you ask my wife, she almost like 50% of the time she has to like kick me or poke me to stop laughing. That's
She's
how I go to
lovely
bed.
too, by the way. I got to meet her.
She's the best.
Yes.
Yeah, but I laugh a lot at night. But yeah, so I went to see Schulz, and then at the end, we're like, okay, there's 6,000 people. It's a Grand Ole Opry, which is just iconic.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all these people are going to try to squirm their way in the same parking lot. Let's go. And as we're walking up the aisle, Schulz goes, you know, we're in Nashville. I got some friends here in music. It'd be kind of weird if I didn't invite them out to do a little bit of shindig. And I think to myself, there's 15 people in the world because of his background with going to prison for 5 years and just his come up and 15 years of grinding. Like, it's just it's literally a movie that could write itself. I said, if he says Jelly Roll, we're going to turn around and sit back down. There's only one name. Even he said Dolly Parton. Like, I love her, but
like,
I'm going. I got to get to sleep. And he said Jelly Roll. And I looked at Sam, my creative director, and we just both had wide, because we were talking about it that day. And we got to rock out to some Jelly Roll. It was just magical.
Why do you love him so much?
His background. I mean, I think I really got to fall in love with his story when he was on Joe Rogan. But even before that, I saw a lot of clips at the, I think it was the CMA, Country Music Awards, where, you know, he won. And even his wife, I think, is Bunny. People think she's a gold digger. And he laughs. He goes, I was broke and she took care of me. Like, legit, people are like, oh yeah, she's a gold digger because of what he looks like and what she looks like. And he just laughs and he's like, you have no idea. And then just the care, you can tell there's people like that I think, when I think of who do I want to emulate, like people that have created a massive like audience but are just still inherently great people in their hearts. He's one of them, man. You see him, he's so grateful. I saw a clip of him meeting one of the Beatles and somebody else. Oh, Elton John. And you could tell, like, he was just in a dream. He was like, I cannot believe right now I'm meeting my heroes. And both those guys were like, no, Jelly, we love your music. And he just melted, like he started getting emotional. And I was just like, dreams come true. He's proof of what can happen if you literally put your head down and say, I don't know how, don't know when, but I know if I show up for long enough, something's got to happen.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Just literally the
life.
discipline of showing up over and over. And I know, you are like really into fitness. You're into wellness. You're into health. You're into discipline.
I like to lift heavy things.
Yes, you can lift things while we're on this. That's fine.
Yeah.
But fitness was the first place I learned discipline. It was like the very first thing that taught me everything.
It's like a gateway drug.
It is a gateway drug. And I had this realization of, wait, if you just keep showing up, it'll eventually happen. Because in fitness, the first like 2 years, if you don't have nutrition dialed in, you don't really see anything, even though so much is happening underneath.
Yeah.
And that helped me in business going, okay, I may not see a result right now, but I know I've just spent a year laying groundwork or like getting my life in order or trying to figure different things out. But also before we talk about that, you just told me you love a good Cinnabon.
I love Cinnabon.
How often does that happen?
Not as much as I'd like it to, honestly, now that I think about it. I will tell you this funny story. When I first met Renee, my wife now, so this would be 13 years ago, we might have only been together for three months. We decided to go to Bahamas.
Yeah.
And in the airport in the Bahamas, there's a Cinnabon. And I go, hey, Renee, have you ever had Cinnabon? She's like, no, what's that? Well, we're going to have an experience. Yeah. Okay. So I go to the counter all excited. I order the Cinnabon. I think I might've did the like maple pecans, like you got extra, whatever. Like I'm just like, this is the best one. And we put it on the counter. I have to use the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom. When I come back, I can't even make this up, Lori. The center was gone.
Just the center.
Just the center.
The best part.
And I'm like sitting there going, what happened? She's like, I ate it. And
Did you leave her behind?
Well, this is it. I go, oh my gosh, she's not the one for me. There's an issue.
She took the center.
Wow, what would need to be true for her to think that might be okay? I'm like, you clearly have had a cinnamon roll before, then proof because you knew to go for the center. Yeah. And she was just like, why are you overreacting? I was like, I'm just going to go get another one. And we're just going to, yeah, it's, so I lived in, you mentioned Toronto earlier because I'm Canadian and you enjoyed your time there on essentially what they call the TTC, the subway system. I think it's Eglinton stop has a Cinnabon. So it's my favorite. Anybody that lives there, I'm like, I'm coming just to smell the Cinnabon and just walk by it. But yeah, it's been a while. I don't have sugar as much as I used to. I used to weigh 265 pounds and now I'm like 210, 208.
So what was the biggest thing that had to shift for you mentally? Like what belief was that you had kind of growing up that had to shift for you in order to have this identity now?
I think it was a lot of things, but if I think the moment I got my heart broken, I think a lot of people go through that where I was in a relationship and it didn't work out. You know, I always tell people don't waste a good crisis.
It's amen.
Like I have friends that right now I'm at that age where a lot of people are having troubles in their marriage and they're going through things. And I'm like, hey man, you got a chance right now to pull out a clean piece of paper and write down some stuff and go for it. If you want to get in the best shape of your life, you got time too. So that's kind of what kicked it off initially. But I honestly, Lori, like I yo-yoed up and down, but it was kind of like, I went up and down, but better and better. So like 265, 225, 250. So like over the last 20 years, I got better and better and better in the last 8 years. And it was really having my kids. I put on like 25 pounds after, because they were 11 months apart. So we had 2 boys, emotional eating, staying up late, sleep deprived, just running a company. My wife was running a company. We decided to build our dream house. I mean, just bananas. Our life is crazy. And then, I just had a wake up call. I was just like, I can't be this dad. I don't want to be tired. I couldn't even, at the end of the day, I couldn't play with my kids. You know, they were asking us to play and I'm laying on the couch going like, I just need to relax. And I'm like, no, I don't. So it's been a lot of different things over the years. What changed now is just identity. Like it's just who I am. Like,
yeah. But did you decide that? Was it like?
It was 100% a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what's interesting about, getting in shape is that it's not, for one thing, when people say I got to lose weight, I say, no, you don't, you got to release it. Because if you lose it, you're going to go find it again. I did.
Found it multiple times.
Yeah.
It was really easy too. Yeah. Cinnabons help.
Yeah. It turns out, coming back to it's a lot easier than losing it. And then just over the years, it's funny because I do this journaling every morning. And part of it is essentially like affirmations. And the affirmations, the best way to do them is I am. So probably 2 years before I had any proof that I was writing down, I'm an athlete. And I wasn't even working out or running or anything. But I write it down hoping that might just be like a deposit in the potential few. Like I literally would write stupid stuff down. Like I'm a billionaire. I'm an athlete. I'm a epic husband. None of these things I had proof for. Zero. There's like, my wife would not be like, yes, Dan's an epic husband. And then I remember I went to a crowd. My buddy Marty was like, hey, come to this thing. It's called CrossFit. This is about 9 years ago. And I remember the first day they had this thing about compete every day. And it's fascinating as a thing that people do, because all of a sudden you're an athlete if you just show up because you competed, because every class is a workout of the day that's a and I was like, oh crap, I'm an athlete. No, I'm not great at anything, but there's proof now. And then I think I did that for 2 years. And then I started writing down, I'm a triathlete. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't even swim. And I just kept writing it down. I'm a triathlete. I think I changed it to I'm an Ironman, which is bananas, because I had no interest in being anything. I didn't want to wear spandex. So that's, first time I got on a bike, I'm wearing like basketball shorts.
Oh, totally. You're still trying to do that?
Oh yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. Yeah. I used to judge those guys. Saturday morning, 7, I see them on the roads, full spandex and their weird little bikes.
This was Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just judgy. And I became that person really quick.
Yeah. How much spandex do you have now?
I have drawers full. I have multiple kits, as Chris would probably know. Yeah, I have kits with different logos depending on my mood.
Yes. Deep gratitude for the spandy.
Yeah, well, it makes you faster, it turns out. There's a reason. It's functional. But I couldn't swim. And then one day my buddy says, we did a bike ride, 20K bike, 5K run. And he said, if we would have swam 600 meters, that would have been a sprint triathlon. I was like, whoa. So that summer we decided to commit to it. And I just pulled on that string. Not only did we do the first try, then we did 2 others that summer. And then originally we committed to an Olympic size, which is kind of like double. And my buddy Mark called me up and he says, hey man, I didn't think you were so weak. I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, I heard you signed up for an Olympic. I said, yeah. He goes, dude, half Ironman or you're a baby. I was like, I'm not getting egged into this. Yeah. Like the word Ironman scared me. I think I sat on it for 2 weeks and then I said, I'm in. And we trained, and then COVID happened.
Wait, so were you able to do it or no?
This is such a crazy story. So obviously every race across the world stopped.
Yeah.
Everything. And I was sitting there and I'm in the heat. This is like April. So March was kind of like when everything started in April. Our race was in June. And I work with a lot of incredible CEOs. And at that time, everybody was in this like fog. Like, what is the future going to look like? What should I brace myself for? And I've been in, I went through the dot-com crash 99, 2000 or 2001.
Same.
Yeah, all of them. So like, I know what to do. It's just forward movement, a little slower, course correct a bit, right size the business, and then wait for the rebound, because on the rebound, that's where the wealth's created. Most people don't know this. So not that I wasn't happy with what's going on in the world, but I knew if I could just get ready. But the big thing was like, I got to get my clients ready. So in many ways, because I was working with all these incredible CEOs, I had to tell them I'm still racing because I needed to show them they need to still stand up and go to work and build.
So good.
So in many ways, that pressure of having them watching me and listening to me, I just dug my heels in. I went live every day, shared with them what I was thinking about, what I was learning. And the way we got the race done is we hired the guy who ran the chips, like the tracking. Okay. He thought we were crazy. All his stuff was in storage. We were the only race, and we called it Corona Man. Because Ironman, obviously for late like branding reasons, couldn't call it. And when we reached out to our rep at Ironman, because we were registered for the race, he was so impressed. They sent us our kits. So we did a 70.3 Ironman. It was called Corona Man, and in Ironman gear.
It was 2 of you?
So we ended up, we did 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we a lot of people heard and they were like, how do I get in this race? And we're like, we didn't want to get shut down by the city.
Right.
Yeah. Because it was like bubbles, you couldn't hang out with people. And the swim we did was like in swamp water. It was so gross. When we were putting the buoys in, I was like, guys, this is bad. Like, can we do it at a pool?
I'm just picturing leeches.
You don't want to know. Even the smell.
No.
Right. And I'm not a good swimmer in the first place. And I'm getting nervous. I put my head underwater. I'm closing my eyes. I don't want to see. I'm worried I'm going to look underwater and these eyes are going to like a human. I was so scared. I'm so slow at swimming, but we got it done. And then the bike. And then what was a blessing in all of it is because we ran our own race, everybody and what was going on in the world, all of our family was there on my buddy's front lawn for the finish. And
who did you become from that? What shifted from that?
Such a great question. Because I was just thinking of my 2 boys watching me finish. That was like, I would have done 3 times of those races just to see their faces, like see their dad do something hard. What shifted is like, it was easily the hardest thing that I'd ever done in my life. 8 years prior, it was one of those things that if somebody said, I'll be a billionaire, I'd be like, that's how distant, like there was just no belief around it. And to see kind of the mindset I had to where I had gotten, it made me really start thinking like, where else am I under indexing in my life? Like, where else am I not allowing myself to believe in the possibility? And that shift of being consistent, see, like, I think people that grow up in fitness like yourself, man, you guys, you have an advantage. Like, I'm just so, like, when I talk to Alex Ramosi, I'm like, dude, you've been, like, I get why you're so successful, because that foundation of showing up every day, every decision, nonstop, with no visible proof today, that's the key. All the work's under the surface until like a bamboo tree, right?
1,000,000%.
Boom. And then it shows up and then everybody goes like, oh, good for you. And you're like, no, you don't know. So I started just screaming in my head, earned. Earned. Like anytime people would say like, I'd love to do that, I wouldn't say a word to them. I would just go, earned.
That's literally where the podcast came from. Earn, you're happy. It was like earning the right to the feeling that you have.
Heck yeah.
Like earning the right to your pride, earning the right to your confidence.
Courage.
Because I used to think like, oh, that person must just have that, or they grew up that way, or whatever it was. And that's the most disempowering belief possible. It's like, if you go research the work, like now sitting with you, hearing about all of these moments that were we know are painful, difficult, isolating. It's like you are literally slaying demons in your head daily. It is those moments. Take me to a moment where it was just like such a battle that you just felt like you were either breaking down all the time or you'd never make it through. And I know there's so many of them, but do you have one where you just really doubted if you'd ever get through it?
I share my story growing up and I didn't share that for 15 years. The first time I ever shared it on stage publicly, my wife, Renee, did not know.
Oh my God.
And her parents were in the audience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Before I went on stage, she goes, hey, my parents want to surprise you. They come to see your talk. I was like,
did you know you were going to share this too?
No. No, what happened was the morning of my talk, the organizer came to me and he said, hey, I just want you to know that we're doing a $50,000 prize to a charity of your choice for the top speaker voted by the audience. Well, I ain't gonna win that talking about marketing. Right. And I knew I had a story, and I shared that story, and it literally changed my life. And I'll tell you why, and I'll share it. I grew up in just a really chaotic childhood. My mom was drinking all the time, hardly present. My dad was traveling. He was in sales, so he wasn't home a lot. I'm the second oldest of 4. I had a lot of energy. I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was 11, put on Ritalin. And pretty much from a young age, I always thought there was something different about me, or I was broken. For sure, I felt broken. Like when you have to take a pill and you're the only one in your family, let alone your friend group, because there's something wrong with you. And then they like treat you different in school. And then eventually I got put in a special class. That just messes with you. And I ended up getting introduced to drugs when I was 13 through my buddy Richard, just casually. And it was the first time that I didn't feel sad. And I went on a 13, 14, 15, 16. I went on, 3 years of just hardcore using, getting in trouble with the law. Ended up in juvenile detention the first time when I was 15 for 2 months. Got out, said I'm cleaning up my act. Those friends, I'm done with them. Sober. I think I lasted 12 hours. Right back at it. And then it was another year of just craziness. Like kind of when people go like, was it really that bad? I'm like, call my dad. He'll tell you. It was almost like, I don't know if you have any family members or cousins or anything where they don't even know where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me sad because I feel guilty for, I know my brothers and sisters were probably really worried about me back then. Anyways, I ended up breaking into a house, and again, I'm not proud, and there was a lot of shame around. That's why I didn't tell anybody. To steal these guns, which is just, how stupid is that? You're breaking into a home where there's guns. Like, it's just, that's how my brain was.
Yeah, you're not thinking.
Oh, zero thinking. Yeah,
you're literally.
Absolutely
your brain is not your own.
Yeah, I was taking anything. Somebody's like, I got Valium. I'll take some of those. What else you got speed? Let's do it all. Like, literally, it was just, give me what you got. And my mom found the guns in my room, called the police. My brother says, don't come home. Cops are waiting for you. I decided to go on the run. I steal a car. I'm in East Coast of Canada, right above Maine. I decided to go to Montreal. Right, I had a friend there. And on my way there, I get in a high-speed chase.
You just really stacked that right there. That went sideways.
It went from zero to messed up incredibly fast. And what was nuts is when I stole the car, I had a handgun on me from the guns I stole. And I said, because I honestly didn't want to live.
Yeah.
And I said, if the cops stop me, I'm going to pull the gun and let them take my life.
Oh my God.
And in the chase, I came into a neighborhood and there was a open garage door, and I just came into that driveway going like way too fast. Smashed into the house. Wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah.
I was drinking. Like I literally had open booze in the car, high, hit the house. The airbags go off, everything. It was just almost like, when you hit your head hard and there's like a ringing in your ears, that noise. And I just remember, get the gun.
Wow.
I started looking for it, and I found it. And when I started pulling on it, it got stuck. It was in an old canvas duffel bag, and it got stuck between the side of the seat and the back. And I just kept pulling on it. And for whatever reason, cops opened the door, picked me off out of the car. I didn't even my feet did not touch the ground. It was like in the air. I think 4 police hold me in the air across the front yard, kind of frisked me and threw me in the back of the cop car. And the next morning I woke up sober, just wondering what my life was going to look like. So at 16, I'm sitting there in this jail cell in Sussex, New Brunswick. And Jelly Roll's got a song. It's funny, I didn't realize why I liked him so much, but it's that song. And he says, I only turn to God when I need a favor. I didn't believe in God at the time. I didn't know. I just said, hey man, if you're real, I could really use some help. And help was honestly I'd rather not go away for 7 years. I know I did some bad stuff and I deserve it, but if you help me get through this, I'll just clean up my act. This is it. I'm done. And I got sentenced to almost 2 years. Ended up in an adult prison, and it was horrendous. But I had some beautiful people show up in my life. And that's been my journey. That since then, from Brian, the prison guard, who told me he couldn't understand why I was in prison and that he believed in me. That got me through that period. I got released to a rehab center, and I met some more angels. I did 11 months. 11 months. When people say man, how did you become who you are? I'm like, I did personal therapy for 11 months at 16 years old. Yeah. I worked on my feelings, my values, my communication skills, basic things, real deep found. I'm like, any adult that would go through this program would just come out a superstar. And I had the gift at 16, 17. And, guys like Mark Pence, and it was cool as this place is a very special place in the world. Honestly, all the staff are ex-drug addicts. So I learned the concept of getting a mentor at 17. And it was at the end of that program, I was helping Rick, the maintenance guy, clean out one of the cabins because it was built in an old church camp. And in one of the rooms was this old computer and a book on programming sitting right next to it. Never touched a computer my whole life. And there's just something when I opened that book, I was expecting it to be secret codes and, almost like hieroglyphs. I just expected weird scribble stuff that nobody could, you know what I mean? Totally. Only the smartest in the world kind of, and it was English. You read it. It was like, if this, then do this, and then this. And I'm like, that's not like crazy. And I just sat there for 20 minutes and I got tapping on the computer. And within, not too long, I got the computer to say, hello world. And I know that's not impressive, but as a 17-year-old that never touched a computer his whole life, I took it as a sign. I took it as like, oh, maybe my brain is different, but it's different for that reason. Because that seems pretty cool. I think it's pretty good. And I just became obsessed. It's funny when I went, my dad forever growing up, he said, if you could just find something you're passionate about that isn't illegal, I think you'd actually do okay. Cause like when I do stuff, I'm in.
Yeah.
And when
I'm like,
I
can say it from your story,
I'm very intense. Yeah. And he goes, I had two passions. I eventually computer programming or botany. Okay. Yeah. I grew a lot of weed.
Interesting.
No, it's not. It's not.
Got it.
Like hydroponics. Like I just loved plants.
Yeah.
And he goes, he's so funny. He goes, Dan, he's very careful because he doesn't like give me advice because he knows that I'll immediately, back then more so, way more.
Okay.
And he goes, I think you should do the computer thing and you have a garden as a hobby.
Yeah.
And that was a beautiful advice. And this is 97. So I get out and I discover this little thing called the internet. And I became obsessed. And I allowed that obsession to fuel my fire and focus. And that's why when people go like, how have you built and exited 5 software companies? And, I've invested in over 100 companies like Intercom and Udemy. And, I literally buy a software company a month right now.
Wow.
It all started in rehab at 17.
Wow.
So it's not impressive if you think about it. I've been doing it for 26 years. I'm 44. I've just been one thing every day, nonstop.
So how did you learn to fall in love with that journey?
The unfair advantage I have, Lori, that I wish everybody could discover, and I think they have it, because I think their number one superpower, their strength, sits right next to the worst thing that's ever happened to them. I believe that.
Yep.
If you're willing to look. What I had the gift, and today is why I'm so driven to go on that journey, to stand back up when I get absolutely knocked down. Yeah. Like I'm talking like full flying kick through the air to the chest kind of hit, is I know why I'm here.
Do you ever have the moments where you kind of go back to that dark place where you're just like, you feel like a little hopeless, or you lose track of that why, and how do you get that back?
100%. I mean, this is it's kind of cool because over the years you just see your mindset get better. Yeah. But every, so what happens is it gets better. So the rebound is short. So you spend less time there, and the rebound is better. So it's like, how much time do you dwell? When I was in my 20s, for days. Yeah, you can ask Renee. I would get into funks where I just cleared my schedule, lied to everybody, said I'm busy or I'm not feeling good. That's an easy one. I got the flu, and I would just lay in bed and watch stupid TV shows. And she'd know. Yeah. Because she opened the door. It's 1 PM. She's like, again? And I'm like,
I have the Netflix influenza.
Yeah. Netflix influenza. I wish I was smart enough to call it that. So good. But and over the years, I just had to, like, the way I got out of those that could serve people, because the first one that really hit me, I was 26. I failed my first 2 companies, major way, lost money. And you got to understand, the 2 benefits I had is, one, nobody expected me to do anything good with my life. So the fact that I just stayed sober,
that is a benefit. Like, that it was really
like,
is.
I had no pressure. The pressure is, Dan, could you just not do any drugs or drink or anything? And I was like, so as that was good, it was like full cheerleader from everybody. But I just was so not smart about learning business or how to do it that I failed. I failed my first company I started when I was 18, failed that one at 19, started another one, shut that down at 21. My dad's like, maybe you should go get a normal job. Like, you're clearly smart and driven. You just maybe this business thing isn't for you. And I was like, there's no way. So I finally started my third company at 24, hired a business coach, That was like a game changer. I actually hired him when I didn't have a business. I was just like, hey, I just don't want to be insane. And insanity is a definite, it's like doing the same thing over and over again. What is a meaningful difference this time? I hired this dude, Bob, went online, didn't have the money, hired him, said, if you're good, you're going to make me, I literally, he didn't know this, but I had 2 months of money to pay him, $1,500 a month. American, I'm Canadian. That's real money. Yeah. Okay. Our money's a little monopoly money, but that US dollar is real strong. So I had 2 months of it, and I figured if he's good, he's going to help me make some money.
You're like, you got 2 months.
I didn't say it to him, but I was like, I really hope you're good because this could be awesome and really short-lived. And we did almost $1 million in our first year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He taught me all the stuff I was missing. I was willing to do the work. Like, that's the thing. I'm a hard worker if you just give me direction. If anything, sometimes when I was younger, I was just worried about making the wrong decision. Now I've learned real simple. My job is to make a decision, then make it right. I don't worry about making the right decision. I just trust that I'll learn fast enough. Yeah. And what changed on the second one in regards to like the moment of getting over it when you're in a funk, 2 years in, around Christmas time, a few things happened at Christmas for me. Obviously, Christmas Day. My birthday is December 26th. It's a day to reflect. And it's right by New Year's, which is another day to reflect. And going into the holiday season, kind of like December 15th, when everybody starts checking out. Yep. I looked at my bank account and I wasn't going to be able to make payroll. And everybody's like, hey, have a great, happy holidays. And I'm like, yeah, happy holidays. And I'm going to have to lay everybody off. We had a team of 20 people. I know. And this was a third time. Yeah. And I went into a depression, like full on. I don't even know. I couldn't even replicate it today because it just felt like I was wearing a weight blanket. And I don't like, I'm just going to tell you what I did. I would go in the bathtub. I'm a big dude. I'd lay in the water. I'd put my head underwater and my nose above the water. And I would stay in it for 2 or 3 hours. And I did that for like 4 nights in a row. And on the 4th night, I said, fuck, Dan, this is dumb. You got to do something.
Plus, this is boring.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? But it was because I wasn't doing drugs or anything. That was my way of numbing out. Totally. There was just something about it was almost like just turn my brain off, stop the chatter. And on the 4th night, I said, okay, I'm going to decide what time. I literally said tomorrow, whatever, I'm done. Yeah. And the next day, out of desperation, I just asked myself a simple question. Who in the world would care if I failed as a business? And this is the best I had. Dan Martell at 26 years old. Yeah. Was the guy who ran the province where my business lived. Because all of our revenue was from the US. So I thought, I'm Canadian. They always talk about like export dollars is better because it brings money into the economy. All my team was in our city. Yeah. And I cold emailed this guy, Frank McKenna, at like 2 a.m. Had enough. I like sat there knowing I should email him. Yeah. Holidays. This is like probably the 28th of December. And the guy replies right away. Wow. And he goes, you need to talk to these 3 people, and gave me 3 names. It was
that was one question.
Dude, it was
that
so
came
crazy.
On day 4 of bath time.
Yeah, but I made the decision. That's good, bath time. I made the decision just to be done with it. Yeah. And that's like that to me and then when it's happened ever since, all I've done is said, I'm done with it. So Renee would come in the room like, how long are you going to do this for? I'd be like, I'm done tomorrow at 2. She'd go, cool. And then I prepare myself at 2 o'clock. I'm going to start lining my team. I'm going to sit down my email. I'm going to work through my inbox. I'm going to schedule my time. I'm going to do it, dump my brain. Like I know how to recover. Yeah. And now it's just become kind of part of the routine that when I get in those funks, those are moments, not days. Yeah. And that's the difference. I still get there. I still try to push on something and embarrass myself or, think I can do something and overcommit. And, so like I'm 100% human. And I just try not to dwell on stuff. The rumination, I think, is actually the biggest killer of happiness right now. For sure. It's fascinating because I coach a lot of really high level people. And sometimes I'll sit back and let them. And I'm listening. And I should record it and transcribe it and then play it back to them. Because if you listen to the words they're using to describe their situation, there's difference between giving somebody context to move forward versus selling yourself on why it's okay for you to feel this way. And that it's almost like you speak your future into existence. So most people don't realize that they're literally speaking what they don't want by repeating back what happened to them that they didn't want.
Totally.
So that's what I've gotten just better at, is just like in those moments, just make sure I don't use language to describe it too much, and then start looking for the opportunity, the positivity. Like I literally just go, okay, I can't control this.
Yeah.
Like what would have been recently? I had a full distance ultra marathon I trained for last summer, and we had a massive fire in Kelowna. Like literally the city almost burnt down.
That doesn't go well together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Training.
So no race. But as anything, when you train for it, there's a taper and then there's race day.
Yes.
So I was ready to race. And I was like, for a week, I was bummed. I was like, I can't believe I trained for a year to do this ultra marathon, and now I can't race. But I had the proof from the previous Ironman. And I remember I was training one day at the gym, and I said, screw this, I'm doing it on Sunday. And I messaged my buddy Dave. I said, dude, I need some support.
Was Dave the same guy?
No, different guy. He was my running partner. I said, Dave, I'm racing Sunday. Make a route. Go on Strava. Go make a route through the mountains. It was the exact same one of the race we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Can you support me? Could you show up on the trailheads and just give me some water and some food? And I showed up and I raced.
That's so much harder.
It was so hard. Like people don't realize, like even when we did the first Ironman, they're like, oh, do a real Ironman. I'm like, dude, after I actually eventually did it because of those freaking ding dongs that were commenting that stuff. Yeah. And I laughed the whole time at how easy a real produce race, water station, ice, every kind of fun thing you could possibly want to eat, every, 4 miles. Like you have no idea what we did versus that. Plus the energy of the crowd. The
energy.
And just the excitement. So yeah, I mean, that was, but what I, even though it was a super scary time when we almost lost our home and the fire's going off, I just kept repeating, what can I control? Control the controllables.
I'm hearing over and over, like just to choose a date, like lock something in and trust that your identity is going to change from that thing and just show up no matter how much it hurts and know you'll be different on the other side.
It's 100% that. Let me give you the two parts because I actually break this down now for clients. It's the commitment to the date and it's also a public commitment to somebody else. Because a lot of people make goals to themselves and they don't share them. When Renee comes in the room and says, how long is this going on for? I have to tell her.
Yep.
If I didn't say tomorrow at 2 and I just said not much longer, those are two different things.
Yeah.
Tomorrow at 2 is a commitment. Not much longer is maybe. When I called Dave up and I said, I'm racing Sunday, I didn't just say, I'm racing Sunday. Dave, I'm racing Sunday. So now I made a commitment to him. If I decide to bail or chicken out, he's going to know. What people don't realize is we'll do more for other people than we'll ever do for ourselves.
For sure.
I wake up every day, not for me. So when people go like, where do you get all the energy? Oh, it ain't for me. I know why I'm here. I mean, just look at people that have dogs. Your dog gets sick. You go to the veterinarian. It gives you a prescription. You have 100% completion of that medication for the dog.
Yep.
100% of the people, 100% of the time. Same person gets the flu, goes to the doctor, gives them a medication. Average person, 65%. As soon as they start feeling good, they stop taking the medication.
Wow.
It's actually fascinating to just watch how much more people will do for an animal, let alone other people. So anybody that's struggling with a goal or trying to get out of funk, you gotta flip the inward focus to the external. One of my favorite stories, this is artist Oliver Anthony. I don't know if you know who he is, Richmond, north of Richmond.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What I love about his story, if you watch it, he was on Joe Rogan. Joe asked him, man, what changed? Because this is a guy that was a drunk, living in a trailer, 20-year-old car, barely keeping a job. And he goes, 2 things, Joe. He said, first off, I started to read the Bible. He said, I gave my life to God. But the second thing is I stopped making it about myself and I started making it about other people. His music stopped being about, hey, do you like my song? And more, what can I share that might help you? That frame is the difference maker for a lot of people. It's like when people get nervous going on stage. I understand where the nerves come from. I think nerves are actually a beautiful thing because it shows that you care. But what I do to helps me shift it before backstage, I literally meditate and I pray and I say, God, please use me to serve the people. That's it. Please use me to serve the people. It's not about me. I did all the work. I've shown up. I lived a life. They're my stories. They work for me. I can only teach what other people what I did that worked. So now I just need you to use me and all of a sudden the nerves just go away because I'm like there now going, oh, I'm here to pour into people that are a few steps behind me that want to get some results. And that ever since I started doing it as a speaker, it's like, it's made speaking fun because I don't freak out, 6 weeks prior or geez, man, I just did Tony Robbins.
Oh,
that was crazy.
And if you're going to freak out, that would give you a moment to do it.
Oh, and I would be lying but every time I'd start to freak out, I go, Dan, just show up and pour into people. Stop it. Just pour into people.
When you would start to freak out, what were the thoughts? Was it like, am I going to not say the right thing? Am I going to pass out? Am I going to throw up? What were the fears?
No, I worked through, luckily, all of those ones, the passing out, the throwing up. I used to get blotchy, right? It was so bad. I used to get so nervous that I would get like nerve.
That will still happen to me sometimes. So I'm waiting to hear this.
So then you get this. So when I started speaking, I almost stopped speaking about 6 months in because this would happen 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No. Okay. And I remember one time I'm speaking and I'm like trying to find my flow. And I think I'm like 20 minutes in and this woman in the front row puts her hand up. And I thought, oh, she has a question. I said, yes. You have a question? She goes, I don't have a question, but I just, you're getting really, I think you might be having an allergic reaction. She says this in front of the whole room. What do you think happened to my face, Lori?
I can't even.
I said, no, it's a thing. It's a birthmark. I know about it. Thanks for telling me. And she's like, oh, sorry. And I'm just like, I cannot believe. I was like, you're getting on. I know. I'm literally, you're getting on stage right now. You just earned the right to take over from me right now. You want to talk? You want to do that to me? You get on stage. Let's see your palms sweat. Mm-hmm. And I almost gave up and I just kept pushing through because here's what I was thinking. I was like, how can I talk to you and I'm good, but then when I go on stage, why do I feel this way? So I just kept working on the mindset and kind of the psychology around it. And for Tony, I mean, the fear was very simple. It's such a dynamic stage. Mm-hmm. Like if you've ever been to his event, have you been to an event?
Definitely. Lots.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't realize how much is going on. The soundtrack, the music, like literally in the middle of a talk, he'll do a energy reset. Yeah. Well, as a speaker, I remember I went up there and I was like, okay, I'm going to do these different things. And I'm going to talk to there's the online people and I'm going to just,
oh God. Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah. Luckily it's so cool how the way the world works. I had been doing so much training online, COVID, that part was like supernatural for me. I understood how to ask a question, leave in the comments, get everybody in the audience to kind of do their thing. So, and I prepped, I was the only speaker with a digital whiteboard because I know when I draw them in, right? And I prepped it. I even got the night before I showed up and I did again, preparation is 90% of it.
For sure.
Just like prepare. Mm-hmm. Like that one fascinates me when I work with people that don't even like you knew this was happening today. Did you I'm just going to freestyle it. It's like, you're not that good.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. You should really practice. It was so funny because I'm doing my talk and I'm starting with my first story and teaching. And all of a sudden the audio video guy goes, like, he just hits the button. And I'm like, yeah. I start dancing. Yeah. I'm like, how long is this going to go on for? And then I remember, the whole like, hey.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. Luckily my brain, like, cause I'd been to like 4 or 5 events. Yeah. I started doing that and I could tell that the guy changed the music. Yeah. And I was like, and yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I was more nervous about like just either going too long and screwing up their schedule, going too short and screwing up their schedule. Cause I mean, this is the thing. Tony runs a very tight ship and like, there's like speakers, Donald Miller spoke before me. I mean, it was crazy. And, I remember, so I was super nervous. And every time I got nervous, I was in a green room. I'd just be like, pour into people. It's not about you, Dan. Stop this. Like I would just just sit there. And a lot of breath work. I do a lot of breath work. What's cool is anybody can go watch this. I think we might be the only people to have recorded and videoed the whole thing. So Sam, my videographer, was there. Yeah. And I said, we're going for permission, not forgive. Or no, we're going for forgiveness, not permission. If they tell us to stop or not, we'll do it. Somehow he snuck his way on stage.
Really?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. I'm on the top of the stairs and Scott's on the stage and he's like, our next speaker, and they created a sizzle reel for me that I'd never seen. And I'm sitting in the back, I'm like looking at it, I'm like, oh, that makes me look way too cool. Like now I'm even more nervous. And Scott's like, everybody give it up to Martell. And I run in and Sam's on the stairs and he just kind of like bumps into the stage and then kind of walks to the back of the corner.
Yeah.
And I'm on stage, I'm talking to everybody and I see him there and he's just like the best cheerleader in the world. And that helped 100% because I was like, well, two parts. I was like, my comfort blanket and we're getting the footage.
Yeah. But that was a risk.
Oh, it's such a risk. Like they told us when we signed the speaker agreement, like it's very clear, do not anything. You're not allowed to post about this. Like, and I get it. Cause like anybody's been doing at Tony's level, he has to protect his brand.
Right.
And, after it all went down, they were so happy. They said, absolutely, we're okay with it. But if people want, and I have like a vlog of it, you'll see me come off stage. And I was just trying to be cordial and nice and gracious and all that stuff. I was literally just trying not to mess it up. Like, I did my thing. I hit my time. I did it.
Yes.
Just get out of there. Yep. You know what I mean? Like there's only one place to go from here.
Totally.
And we're like walking through and it's this big freaking place Tony built and the staff and like, wow, thank you. And I'm like, oh, it's good. We get in the Uber. I was like, all doors closed. The doors are closed. And Anne's there and Sam's there. And the driver's like, doesn't know what's going on. And then yes, the doors are closed. And I freak out.
Oh.
I freak out.
Yeah.
Did that just happen? What the? What? Let's go eat sushi. Like I was like earned.
Yes.
It was so funny. I was so hyped up. The driver got excited for me and he didn't even know what was happening. He's like, yeah, you did it. What did you do? And I'm like, man, I can't even explain it. He's like, yeah, you did. And he said the weirdest thing. He goes, now you go hunt in the woods. I was like, what? Go get the tigers.
Kill something.
He literally was like, let's go. I'm like,
I'm dying. I want to use that just for the rest of my life now. Literally, all my girlfriends, when they do something, I'm going to be like, go hunt in the woods.
Go hunt in the woods right now. Because he was just like, your energy is that ferocious.
Yes. That is the best story. And honestly, that is the measure. I can literally... You made me nervous just even thinking about getting that opportunity and what happens afterward.
Well, you just did
you feel
Aspire.
Yeah. Well,
that was huge.
I did experience some of those feelings for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a big audience.
Yeah, that one made me level up. That one made me do things to prepare that I have
I've never done the the network marketing stages. I heard those are huge.
Those are so fun though.
But I want to do those because everybody wants to be there, right? Like
totally.
they're just like big. I don't know. I have
like,
a few
let's
friends.
Chat. We know people. Yeah.
That's on my goals list.
Okay, great.
100%.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Because I've never
I'm like,
spoken
how are
to that
you
kind of
not there
audience.
already?
Somebody needs to reach out and I'll say yes.
Great. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, it's kind of, you just reminded me of this in telling the story is like, sometimes the more nervous, it's almost like the further you go down, the more nervous you are, the higher you can go. Like I would have never felt like that if I didn't go through that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a beautiful thing about life is that I think, in many ways, the people who have gone through the most have the most to give. Mm-hmm. So when we're in it, it feels so hard and dark and a challenge. But I was reading a book yesterday and one of the sentences, and I don't even think they meant to put it in there, but I think it's a bar. They said in life, there's either lessons or blessings. And I was like, that's so true. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there's a blessing in the lesson. And it was just this sentence. And I was just like, lessons or blessings. Like that's, to me, again, all the stuff I went through was the reason I am who I am today. Mm-hmm. I really like who I am today.
Yeah.
I would not change a single day, period, full stop. It forged me into who I am.
Mm-hmm. I developed a belief early on that was the bigger, like the thing that's happening, the catastrophe or the thing or the problem or the challenge that comes, the bigger my life purpose is. So like if big things come, I'm like, this is because my purpose is so big. I have to get through this to teach how to get through it.
Wow.
And that has helped me. Like it helps me look forward to challenges. Don't get me wrong.
They're not
fun.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, this is here. So I can become the person who can then like teach this. So now challenges are like, oh, skill set, new skill set.
I get an opportunity to do the work.
Because I used to like run from them, like cower, be like, why is this happening? And that is not a belief that's gonna, No,
I love that. So you're saying the bigger the challenge I'm presented with means life purpose is bigger because I wouldn't be facing this if that wasn't
right.
Because what I want to do is going to require me to learn this lesson to prepare me for that.
Look at how you started out. Like, you have such a big life call on you because you can reach so many more people, because that story is so understood among so many people, and it wipes out excuses for everybody else. And if you didn't have that, you couldn't wipe out excuses.
No.
And you're like the no excuse guy.
I guess so. It's funny when after I did the Ironman, a lot of people, close friends and family members, said, "Hey, Dan, why don't you just chill out?" You know what I mean? Like, why do you have to do this race? Maybe this is my favorite one. Maybe this is a sign. Maybe God's trying to tell you something. And I said, yeah, he's trying to tell me to go, to do it. And it's funny because a lot of people, there's this, I wish I could tell who said this, but he said, sometimes we're given those challenges to get ready to receive the things we've been asking for. Like, I just believe that every time I face an adversary, Tony teaches this, I got it from him. He said, to your point, he when he has a big issues, and his business was all in-person seminars and COVID happens. Yeah. Okay. And he literally has programmed his mind to go, ooh, worthy adversary, worthy. I've got a worthy opponent. This is nice. Finally. I'm like, whoa, that's some next level mindset stuff. Level. Yeah. I don't know if I like run into it, but
I can't wait to say finally.
Yeah, finally somebody worth fighting, But it's kind of a cool concept to think about. Like, what if everything you're going through right now, what if every setback, every challenge, every emotion, all of it is getting you ready to receive the thing you've been asking for? And I hold that belief. I know it's a truth for me. Even with money, when people say, I want to be a millionaire, I said, no, you don't. Because you're not a millionaire yet. Jim Rohn used to talk about this. He said, you better hope nobody gives you $1 million, because if they did, you'd lose it. Right? He said, go earn $1 million so you become a millionaire. And those are two different things. Isn't that cool? I love that idea. So cool. Yeah, he said, you should go learn how to make $1 million. And if you don't want the money, give it to charity. Right. But go become the person who could do it. Who can do it. Right? And I'm like, oh, so everything, the challenge is just get me ready to receive the thing I've been asking for. Wow. So let's go. Dan, your book is like top in the world right now. It's number 4 right now. And it's bananas. It's going to go, number 1, number 4, number 1. I just want New York Times. I didn't get it the first round. It got released a year and a few months ago.
Why do you think your book is the top in the world? Why do you think it's staying there?
Well, I mean, for sure, the people that are supporting it. Like, we just talked about Rory Vaden, Yeah. Just there's so many people that I think there's something about when they read it, they just were like, oh, this is a practitioner. Like, I'm a builder. I'm an operator. I'm not a marketer. I'm not an internet guru or any of that. I build companies. I buy companies. I love problems. I love systems. And what's funny is people go like, where did you learn how to do this? As a software developer, all I did for 15 years was talk to customers about what they needed and then built it into an architecture. So I didn't know at the time when I was writing code and designing database systems and front-end interfaces that was getting me ready to teach the principles that applied to my life and business. But that's why the book's full of like these models, like the buyback loop. And I think that's what's unique about it, is that every chapter, I kind of know where I want people to end up. I want them to build a business they don't grow to hate. I was very clear.
It's a good goal.
I was just like, I have too many friends that are so friggin' powerful and creative and artistic and beautiful that give up, not because they couldn't. The market was there. The customer demand was there. It's because they built the business in the wrong way. And what I discovered through massive pain, my third company took a lot out of me, was what ended up in that book. And what I learned allowed me to build the empire I've built so far. Like it's bananas, the opportunities and the income and all that crazy stuff. But I think that's what people gravitate towards. They're like, I'm willing to do the work, but I'm clearly missing something. And it all starts with the way we value our time. Yeah.
Your book was suggested to me so many times, like, because people know that I love to read, and they're like, have you read this one? Have you read this one yet? And I was like, okay, I'm going to read it. It was so so good. The stuff in there, like you actually have to just like listen to a chapter and pause and be like, okay, I need to integrate this, because there's so much info to optimize your life that even if you just take one thing from 100%. Your book, your life is going to change. So
yeah, it was a labor of love. Most people don't know this because I've never shared it, but when I wrote the book, I wrote down 30 people's names. Yeah. It was 30 people. My wife was on there. My wife was on there. My brother was on there. My best friends were on there. Like I wrote down their names, and then clients, and then friends, and then people on the internet that I've never met, but I knew I could help.
Yeah.
Literally, I put 30 names. And as I was writing the book,
I hope my name was on there. This girl needs help.
But it was just this question of just like, did I address that person? Because like in thinking about what argument they would give me back, that's why the 5 Time Assassins is in there. Because like that's all about vices and some bad habits. And if I don't address that, I can teach you how to get your time back. But then you're just going to self-sabotage and implode on yourself. So, so each one of the chapters addressed a concern. And I used a lot of the stories I heard from people. And I just, that's why the book is what it is. It was just like a labor of love. When I sit down, I had a writing partner, Paul. And every time I sat down with him, we'd pray. That was a really cool thing we did. He'd do it because I'm not good at it. So he'd pray. And then I would just like look at the list. And when he was asking me questions and stuff, I just made sure that it's almost like the idea with that objection and that objection and this person's weird belief around that.
What a great way to start.
It was just like, I like right now I'm working on my next book. I have the list of people because I can't write again. I can't do it if I don't know who I'm doing it for.
Right. Or you're just grabbing content that you've learned in the past that you're like, I think this might work.
No, and it's just not, it's just, I need to have a clear here, if it only ever served those 30 people. And this is why I knew I had something. I didn't know it would become what it's become. When it came out, you know, we get the 5 copies from the publisher. You know, that's all I had, 5. I mean, guys, you guys are stingy. Like, can you not send me a box or something? Anyway, so they gave me 5. And my wife grabs one of them. And for 14 days, she sat in the chair in our bedroom every night and she read my book. Like, I don't expect people to read my book. I just never did. I mean, I'd love for you to read it, but I know I don't read everybody's books. Like people send me their books all the time and I'm like, I don't need to read it right now. And it was so funny because she would be sitting there and I'm laying in bed and then she would go, hey, Dan, I know what my buyback rate is now. So now I got to hire somebody. And then I go, next chapter. She's like, cool. And amazing. It was every night she'd be like, I got it. Okay, I'm going to get an assistant. What do I get her to do? Chapter 3. So she's like, every night she'd be like, I'm in. What's the next thing? Because that unlocked it. And I think that one I'm like the most proud of. We worked so hard on the sequencing of the book, like what chapters go in what order. That I think we did a really good job on the pacing, the length of it. It's long, but not too long. And it gives you like a very clear roadmap.
Yeah, it's a book people should read yearly.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, like a reference book.
Yeah, everybody I hire has to read it just because
keep it on your desk. It's a reference book.
Yeah, the replacement ladder is probably chapter 5. It's like one of the most important. Even Rory yesterday at his event, he goes, "Hey, tell everybody about that the replacement ladder," because it's just like a clear. Am I doing these things? Yeah. You guys go grab the book. It's incredible. We'll do a book giveaway. So you guys, what we're going to do is if you tag Dan, what's your? Dan Martell, 2 L's and Martell on Instagram. Are we doing Instagram? Yep. We're going to do Instagram. Dan, Martell, 2 L's. Your Instagram is amazing, by the way. Thank you. So good. It's all Sam. Yes. Way to go, Sam. So what we're going to do is if you share your biggest takeaway from this podcast on Instagram, tag Dan, tag myself, I'm going to send you a book. The first 10 people to do that, we're going to send you a copy of Dan's book. So thank you so much for being on the show today. It's an honor. I'm not gonna lie. This was one of my favorites. You guys definitely go check out the book. It's going to change your life. And we've got some bonus content with Dan. Yes, we do. We're going to teach the 1-3-1 rule. What is that? Just give us a little cliffhanger. It'll change your whole business experience by starting to get other people to actually lead and come to you with solutions, not problems. I need this. You need this. Go down to the show notes to get the bonus content right away. And you guys, thank you again. Until next time, earn your happy. Bye, everyone.